It's a lovely good afternoon. I don't know if I would say ladies and gents. Sorry, my Bemba is very bad, but it's a lovely good afternoon. And you are through to Camnet TV, and we are here to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports and what's happening in the sports world. This is Off the Pitch, and I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and I'm never alone on set. As usual, I'm joined by, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Through to you.
Good afternoon, dear viewers, and it's another fantastic weekend. We are back to discuss nothing but sports, and the week has been full of activities, and we look forward to a great show.
To my far end there.
Good afternoon to the viewers out there. Thanks for joining us once again. It's been an eventful week. I think first and foremost, I would like to apologize to Isaac. I said Kaizer Chiefs will win the title, and Isaac was clearly saying Sundowns will carry the day. I don't know where he got the confidence from, but I would like to apologize for that, and they're the champions of the PSL.
You owe me an apology as well, because I told you that Sundowns was going to carry the day on that particular Sunday. I was very positive that
Kaizer Chiefs cannot throw away a 90 minutes match, because they were just 90 minutes away from being crowned champions. I think we'll go into detail as the show progresses.
And that was an apology. Augustine was giving an apology to Isaac. Isaac, hope an apology will be accepted. Because I know you told me that day, Amos, please, can you call Augustine so that he apologizes to me, because I told him that Sundowns will carry the day. But anyway, as usual, before we proceed and go into whatever we've packed for you guys, let's just take a very short break and we'll see you on the other side.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we're looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
you can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital.
Contact us on
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
Not just another channel. Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to our viewers who are just joining us. This is Off the Pitch, the show that gives you nothing but the best in terms of sports. And you can also watch us live on Facebook. Just follow our Facebook page. Sorry, that's Camnet TV. Like it, and you'll be able to catch us live there. Oh, you can just download our app, which is Camnet app on Google Play Store, and you'll be able to watch whatever is being streamed live there. And before we went on a break, Augustine was busy apologizing. And Augustine, can you please do your apology in a nice way?
Yeah, I think a big apology goes to Isaac, because Isaac was very confident that Sundowns were going to carry the day and win the PSL. I think, to me, looking at Kaizer Chiefs, the way they had started the season, they started it like a house on fire. They were not dropping points easily. But after the break, the lockdown, I don't know what hit them. They were just poor. And there was a time, if you remember, when they were 8 points. 11 points adrift of Mamelodi Sundowns. Pitso Musimali was very confident. He came out and said that we will close the gap and win this title. Because there was even pressure from the Sundowns side that maybe Pitso might be shown the door, because Sundowns were on a very bad run. Then Kaizer Chiefs were very, very good. They were brushing aside every team they found in their way. But it's so surprising how they failed to just win a 90 minutes match against the struggling Baroka side and let the title go back to Loftus View instead of going to the soccer city. It was very disappointing. One thing I've realized from everything is that when the going was tough, the last 6 games, you would see P2 introducing the most experienced players. The likes of Kennedy when they came back into the lineup. Yeah. He's a cool head. Teboko Langaman, we started seeing more of him. Andy Lejali was being given minutes. He trusted those experienced players to at least help Sundowns cross over to being champions of South Africa. I'm not a Chiefs fan, I'm a Pirates fan, but I just wanted Chiefs to win it for a change. But it's disappointing that it's Sundowns again. And congrats. I
like Augustine.
Have you accepted his apology, Rapson?
No, he was only tendering his apology to Isaac. He's yet to come to me because I was with him on the show last week, and clearly we were discussing 3 hours before the kickoff, 2 to 3 hours before the kickoff of the final games in the EPL. And I was here and I'm on record, I clearly declared, I said, looking at the statistics and the pressure surrounding both teams that are playing the last game, which is a do or die for both, I think pressure was on Kaizer Chiefs. You see, for me, where I knew that they will have that kind of pressure, like you have said, this where you have, at one point you've played games and you're 11 points clear. The guys who are following you behind are 11 points adrift. Then you look at where you are on the last day. Goal difference is separating you and the second team. Clearly pressure is on your team. Look at what Pitso Motsimane did. Like you have said, he started going for experience towards the end. Proper experience. He's one of the longest serving managers in the PSL. He's been at Sundowns, I think he's going into his 8th year now. And the guy understands that league so well, and he was on point on the last day. Brushing aside a team that is having our very own Mwapem Sonda by 3-0 on the final day, it was a huge result for him.
Let's look at Pitsu. He's won the PSL title 5 times in 7 years. How is that for an achievement, Augustine?
I think if you can see, the dominant part has been in these last 7 years, the way he has managed that Sundowns team. Pitso Mosimane is someone who has got a style of play, and he always looks to certain players to try and fit in that style of play. You remember at a certain point they had the likes of Keegan Dolly, who was one pacey winger down the flanks. He would attack teams. He was fearless. Then they replaced him with Percy Tau. The young Percy Tau came through and did the same. You can see now they have got Sereno and Tembazwane. There's always continuity at the Mamelodi Sundowns. He understands the way that football club runs and the way the league runs. He always knows where he will get points and where he will drop points. He's someone who draws his map very clever. And one thing that I've realized, he trusts his right-hand man. He has always trusted his right-hand man. You saw Mokoena went to Pirates at one point. He was even the coach when Minutin left Orlando Pirates. But now he's back. That's his right-hand guy. He trusts in Mokoena to try and give him advice whenever they go and get stuff from Mamelodi Sundowns. I think Pitu is a genius. In these last 7 years, he has managed to win the Champions League, which is not mean achievement. If you look at a club from Southern Africa, we are not known for dominating Africa, but Pitu has come and he has dominated Africa. And one thing he talked about when I was being asked about how have you managed to try and conquer Africa, he talked about one thing. He said, you need to understand the way the game is being played. You cannot go to North Africa and go and attack your ally. That's a disaster. I think you cannot go away from home when you're playing in continental football and try and attack your opponents, because one, the facilities are not like in South Africa. That's one thing that Pitsu was always addressed to his players, that wherever we go into Africa, we must note that our facilities are better than where we go to play from. You find hostile the environments are hostile. The reception is not perfect. So he psychs his players in such a way whereby they expect everything when they go into Africa. And you've seen he has achieved a lot of good results. He's gone to Zamalek, gotten a result, won the Champions League by beating Zamalek. I think credit goes to the man. He's fantastic.
Are we still seeing Pitsu dominating the PSL?
It's a game of football. Players come, players go. the season ended last week. The new one is coming. We don't know what other teams are planning in the transfer window. We will begin to see a lot of player movements. But clearly, Pitso Mosimane is becoming a force to reckon with, because 5 out of 7 is not a mean achievement.
Yeah, true.
You dominate your country, you proceed and still hit the African continent. For me, I think he's on the right path to being a force to reckon with on the African continent. Secondly, before we even close that topic, Pitso Mosimane is responsible for the dismissal of Ernest on the last day. We saw Kaizer Chiefs, their coach.
That's
was
where I was
dismissed.
even going.
So that actually led to the dismissal of the coach. Ernest.
The funny part is that the past 2 seasons, the Soweto sides have been leading the log, going into the last 2 games. Orlando Pirates blew it the other season on week 29. They blew it, and Sundowns the following week won the PSL title. It has happened again to Kaizer Chiefs.
Very interesting to the lads, actually, because when you look at that particular game, on the last day, where we had one of our boys on the other end, and on the other end we had 2 Zambian lads in the 2 squads. It was interesting to see them account for themselves well. We can't override our own boys in terms of giving glory to the winners of the league. We shouldn't forget our boys. They were very, very good on that day.
Is it when his 5th title as well in PSL? I think.
Yes. He's won 5 titles now with PSL.
I think so now if you look at the South African setup, the funny part is that away from Pitso, there's Gavin Hunt, who is perceived to be one of the great coaches upcoming. He has won 1 title with Bidvets. He hasn't achieved from that. He hasn't moved on, and then you cannot see any young South African coming through. The only young South African who was coming through was Ben McCarthy, who was at...
I beg Cape Town City.
Yes, at Cape Town City.
I beg to differ.
He looked promising. I thought he was the guy.
Where is he now?
He was fired. Now he's back in Scotland, where he lives with his wife.
So he's just staying.
Yes, he's looking for another project. But what I think is that Ben went to South Africa and he changed the way Cape Town City played. They were always playing continental football when he joined them. Now they are failing even to make even the top half. They struggled this season without Ben McCarthy. It was clear. But one thing that I've realized that there's no next coaches. The next crop is where, because when Ernest was sacked, he's been sacked with the veterans of South African football. So you can wonder which coaches will take over from if the likes of Pitso step down. Maybe Mokwena, who is his assistant, but he failed at Orlando Pirates. He went to Chippa, he failed as well.
You see, some assistant coaches are meant to be assistant coaches for the rest of their life. Yeah. Clearly, he's had opportunities. Mokwena has had opportunities. We followed him. He was at Sundowns, an assistant coach. He got the blessings of the head coach to move on. Mm-hmm. He moved, went and performed at Pirates after Mitchell left. Clearly, we could see Pirates struggling, and he came back, and he's been welcomed by Pitso. So there are some assistant coaches that get strength from being second. They cannot be first. We've seen that happening. I'll tell you certain, we can discuss other coaches when we come to our local football back home. Mm-hmm. We'll come back to that.
But is it high chance now, or maybe is it high time for Kambole to prove himself? Maybe the next coming in coach will give him a chance, or maybe this is now the worst part of his football career.
There are 2 things for me. Kambole joined Chiefs when we were all standing up and clapping for him when he left Zesco United. Immediately he went there. He's a player who's got a history of scoring his first goal after 15 months of joining a new club. Clearly, he replicated that record in South Africa when he joined the Chiefs. He played for over 14-15 months. That's when he had his first goal. But for me, the departure of the coach could be a blessing in disguise for the young man. And I'm only hoping that before the new coach comes, he should check himself. For me, it's the input that you give in training. Let the training speak for you. The football must speak for your legs and not your CV. His CV is very rich, it's so nice, except it's very poor for a striker, because you can't have that scanty of goals, and you are calling yourself a striker. That should be being found on target in each and every match. He's downgraded himself to a level of a 22nd player now, because clearly the last 3-4 games he's been coming on. I think the last one, if I recall very well, it was a disaster. He played in 2 seconds and probably didn't even touch the ball. So it's a blessing in disguise. Let him get back to his drawing board as an individual, check his life, start working hard. The next coach might just see qualities in him and he could just prove a force to reckon with in the coming season.
And one thing about Kambole, this might be his chance, because most of the time, if you look at these clubs which are well set up, like Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, even like in Europe, most of the times when a new coach comes in, he will have a meeting with all the players. He will talk to them one-on-one to try and find out what challenges do you have. Where do you want me to play you? Where do you fit the most? But I think this is one thing which he will try to get to know the players. Then he will give everyone a chance. Kambole needs to work hard. He needs to work his socks off on that training ground every day for him to prove that he's the right man to take Kaizer Chiefs to that title. Maybe it was his goal which was eluding them to win that PSL title. I think to me, he just needs to stand up and say, I can do this. I've won a title with Zesco. I can even do it here in South Africa. He just needs to work hard. He needs to work on his finishing more than anything else. Patson Daga went through this. There was a time at Power Dynamos, people never wanted to look at Patson Daga coming in as a super sub. They would, even the coach was under pressure to say, why are you playing Patson Daga? Even at national team, when he was playing at under 17, under 20, and the senior team at the same turning point, a lot of criticism were thrown at Patson Daga. But if you listen to him, he says that it helped him to build himself, because that criticism was not bringing him down, but it helped him to grow as a player. So now Kambole has got this opportunity. It's a second chance now at Kaizer Chiefs. This is his second and last chance. If it won't work for this new coach, I think he'll be back at Zesco. And
that is if he survives the transfer window.
Yes, and before we leave the PSL, there are some news coming in from South Africa that there is a certain club in the PSL who are interested in the services of Perry Mutapa, our very own Perry Mutapa. There was a time that he could have gone to Orlando Pirates, but to be back part of Mitchell's backroom staff, but some things didn't go his way. But he's being rumored that there's a club which is interested in his services in South Africa, because he's a legend at Orlando Pirates. Perry Mutapa, he's someone who has played in the PSL, he knows the game. I think it would be a very good move. Even Roger Kola, we've seen him being linked with Cape Town City. I think it's interesting.
Anyway, since you've already started an issue of Patson Daga, we saw the young lad scoring 4 goals and Mwepu coming on the score sheet as well with 1 goal. And we got a clip from that game, and we would love if our viewers would see this. That's if they never had a chance to see it. Let's take a look at this clip of Patson Daga and Mwepu in action.
Bekannt nicht nur in Österreich, sondern ganz Europa, weltweit. Absolut erste Klasse. Po. Sehr präzise, satter Schuss, 2:0. Amayo, Okugawa. Oh. Boah, und da ist gar nicht lang Elfmeter zu pfeifen. Daka, bevor der Schiri die Pfeife im Mund hat, steht hier schon. Oh. Das hat wieder schwer nach 11 ausgesehen und ist wieder nicht nötig zu pfeifen. Wepo macht hier das 5:0, 34 Minuten. Oh, Daka nimmt den noch mit. Daka, boah, super gemacht. Patson Daka macht das halbe Dutzend voll hier. Der war ganz schwer schon. Naja, da sind hier hauptsächlich Amateure am Werk. Das war beruflich auch nicht nett. Aber nächster Treffer, auch der zählt. 39. Minute. 7:0.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we are looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
You can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital,
contact us on
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
not just another channel.
That's Papa Patson Daka, aka the next Thierry Henry, as he is so called. We've seen how the lad performed, and I'm looking at how Angorapson is looking at me. But anyway, those were the goals scored by Patson Daka, and we also got his name registered on the score sheet. But the question today we're asking ourselves is, there is a hot pursuit of bigger teams that are going in for Patson Daka, but the lad says he wants to stay at Salzburg. But our question to our viewers is it the right time for Patson Daka to make a move, or he should stay? You can go on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, give us your answer, or you can call in on the numbers that are scrolling on your screens so that we hear your views on if it's okay for him to make a move, or maybe he stays a bit longer there. Your contribution will be highly appreciated. Angorapson, straight to you. Papa Patson Daka.
Patson Daka is a lad that is on fire. Every eye is on him, every camera is on him, every agent is trying to find space to discuss with Fred Canute, his manager, and just try and get the signature of the young lad. Even in the midst of this whole pressure that the young man is going through, you know, it gives a young player like him, a lot of pressure. If there are calls coming from across the world targeting you to be their player or being the target of a transfer move, it becomes more of like a burden. But we can see the maturity in the player. He has continued to torment defenders. Even in the presence of all this transfer talk that is there, I like what his manager, his agent did, Fred Canute. He just said this young man needs to stay a bit longer at Austria. He wants to be in Austria. He wants to create fame. And my opinion is that I would love him to stay and create a fame for himself. He should leave when literally the whole world understands his talent and knows how lethal he is in front of goal. Because if he left the club now and something, God forbid, happened in terms of his career, he gets into the Lazarus Camboles story, that would be the end of him. We've seen better maturing players go into bigger clubs at an early stage and they mess themselves up. I think for me, he needs another extra 1 season, just another 1 season at the club, at Salzburg. He will become a very, very better player, and his value is going to go skyrocketing, because Salzburg now, if they were to sell him, he's being rated a player of about 20 to 25 million. So if the guy plays another 1 year at his current scoring rate, we saw him in this past week. I think I've stopped counting goals now. All I know is yesterday they had a game. They had 2 days ago they had a cup game against Schwarz.
Oh, yeah.
We could see the guy scoring 4 goals as if he's in a training session. Of course, that's a lower tier club. It plays in a lower league. That was a cup game, and like in the Zambian setup, that is like a provincial team before they even get to the national league. But we could see the player. We could see Enoch Mwepu. The player in question is Patson Daka, and I think for me, he must stay for another 1 year to create more value for himself.
When a lot of people bring in an issue of a player, like a Zambian player, wanting to make a move into Europe, up most, maybe I would say in England, because we've seen Patson Daka turning away Mourinho's call. And when we look at it, anyway, we've got a call. Let's just pick this call. Yellow, good afternoon. You are through to Off the Pitch.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm okay, sir. How are you?
Very fine, sir.
Well, you can give us your contribution on Patson Daka.
Okay, actually, for me, Patson Daka that is why go for my party. Yes, the Malaysia, England, okay, Tulsi Chama, Amanan to Aquatama players that are from England. For instance, the Malaysia Mayuka. Gaining experience at least for 2 years. At least at least 3 to 2 years experience in the bathroom center. maintenance na gaining up ground. Not a person never spend. Bala take cutting shift, and we are building national team moreover. So that require again now my child go Africa. But when it comes to my case, you don't know what I want to. I don't need nation. I'm going to say the end, but it gets you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. You can continue calling in and give your views. That was our first caller who is just saying he should stay, Patson should stay at Salzburg because he's looking at what happened to Mbesuma, and that's where I was going, Augustine.
To Mayoka.
Oh, to Mayoka, sorry.
Him to Mayoka.
So well, but even Mbesuma was there at Portsmouth, and where is Portsmouth now? Let's look at it, Augustine, in this same aspect. We saw Mbesuma going in the EPL. His move, maybe I would say it was a failure. We saw Mayuka from young boys on fire going into the EPL through Southampton. His move was a failure. So that's what the people are concerned over. Can we see the same thing with Patson?
I think if you look at a lot of Zambians, we don't have enough confidence when it comes to a Zambian player going to England because our past experience have been poor. We've had Collins Mbesuma go there, he didn't make it. We've got Emmanuel Mayuka recently, he didn't make it. I think if you look at it from a broader perspective, you look at the way...
We've got a call, sorry, Augustine. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon, sir, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
We are fine, sir. You can go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I think for me it is good for him to stay at Salzburg. Because we had... hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
we are getting you, sir.
Yes, because we had been Mayuka. They are there at Southampton. What happened there? Short time they were back, now they are home. Without achieving anything. So if we get more experience in that, because we have a much game time.
Oh, yeah.
So for him, it would be better for him to stay at least one season. Or the next season, then he can move to the bigger club. And then he can have a very huge impact.
So for you, sir, before you go, if he was to make a move, which team would you suggest he go to?
For me, that is my Man U supporter. So I could suggest maybe go for Man U.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We are together on that one.
Augustine.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we have had bad experiences as a country with players who have gone into England and failed from Zambia. Now, if you look at from Patson's point of view, he's being managed by Frederick Kanute, former West Ham and Tottenham player. He's someone who has had an experience of playing Premier League football. He knows what it takes to be in there. That's why maybe he's advised him to play one more season at Red Bull Salzburg so that he can become more of a complete player. Because I'm sure there are certain areas where Patson Daka needs to improve on. So maybe he's looked at that and say he's giving him advice based on experience. I've been in the Premier League and what will be required of you will be A, B, C, D. You've seen that the way the publicity of the Premier League is, the media will also put pressure on you. It's not just the fans, it's the media, even the owners of the football club and your teammates. A lot of expectation. You're coming in with 20 plus goals, so they expect much from you. And talking about Patson Daka's development, you've seen the way they have managed him, these guys, Kanute and his team. Patson Daka, I first saw him at playing Air to Rising Stars and Koloma Stadium. He was the captain for Lusaka. He came out the top scorer and he won the Golden Boot and won the tournament with Team Lusaka. Then he moved to Nchanga Rangers. After Nchanga Rangers, he then moved to Power Dynamo.
Let's just pick this call, Augustine, before. Okay, we've lost that call again. Continue.
After he moved to Power Dynamo, that's when they had that relationship now with the Kanute team, which is handling now Patson Daka. They first took him to Salzburg, where he signed a contract, and then he was sent to the youth team where he won the UEFA Youth Cup with Red Bull Salzburg. He even scored in the final against, is it Barcelona? Yeah. After that, he was playing for Tenerife, the feeder team to Salzburg. It wasn't going well for him. I think Patson struggled a bit, but they had patience. They knew that this is the best platform where this guy would develop in. He went into Salzburg. His first season, he never saw a lot of game time. They could have been impatient. They could have moved him from Salzburg. But they just had faith that this guy will step up from this stage. And last season, you can see that when Patson was playing second fiddle to Erling Brand Haaland, who then won move to Borussia Dortmund. And Patson Daka never saw a lot of game time in terms of Champions League football. Maybe this is a time whereby he's their main man. You can see they're even giving him taking penalties. They have got that responsibility. They know he can take even penalties. So now they trust him. So at Salzburg, he has got all it takes to be a better player. Now you see a lot of minutes in Europe. You'll be playing against the likes of Real Madrid. You'll be playing maybe 90 minutes. That's a better platform for him. If you look at the offers that he has had, Manchester United, very good offer.
Let's just pick this call. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. How are you, sir?
We are fine, sir. Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Chinza Sydney, calling from Kushi, Washimba.
Oh, okay, that's nice, sir. You can go ahead with your contribution.
Kushi is fine, it's getting hot.
The hotness is everywhere.
Yes, sir. On Patson Daka, I feel we should still remain there so that he improves. Looking at the past players that we have had who have gone, like the Suma, we are talking of the other one whom we are just mentioning from Zandaham Boy. When they go there, they're going to do well. Maybe better he gets a grasp to become better, more confidence. Then shall we see him, then shall we smile together. Then that's when he can manage at Europe.
Okay.
Jesus, sir.
So with you, if he was to make a move, which team would you suggest?
You can flip man you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Man you, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Sydney.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thanks. Okay.
I'm Rapson.
Let me bring one discussion up to speed. I think I'll take a different angle from what Augustine and the other the callers have said. Likening Patson's current form to the other failures we've had in the EPL, I think it's like you're trying to compare an apple and an orange.
But Mayuka, mind you, was top scorer at Young Boys, and he played with the likes of Czech Tiote. They even lost to Tottenham in a playoff, if you remember.
In the Champions League.
Yes, in the Champions League.
I remember that game. But you see, for now, football has evolved, Augustine and viewers. Football has evolved. When you look at the discipline levels of these players that we are discussing, you can see the growth. If Patson Daka had a very, very small mentality in him and the discipline levels were very poor, he should have stopped playing football by now.
Very true.
That guy has been booed left, right, and center. But this is one boy who went very low. He started rising. It's not the number of times that you fall that we count. It's how many times you rise and move on. For me, comparing him to the other two guys, Mbesuma and Mayuka, I think it's a miss. Him staying at Salzburg for an extra season, I'm for it. But clearly, the discipline levels also play a very, very, very big role. The two players that failed to play in the EPL, they were given enough time. They were given enough support. It's probably other things that led to their failure. Of course, not taking away the fact that maybe the pace of the game in England is very different when you are coming from a different country. But overall, I think for me, him staying at Salzburg is all right. But let's not compare the other failures to what is likely to happen to him. I have seen his growth, and I think he can do better. But
I've seen, for me, I would say I've seen him performing wonders against one of the most expensive defenders. That's in Van Dijk.
Van Dijk.
Scoring, I don't know, twice.
With Alisson in
against Alisson in the goalpost.
The second best
goalkeeper in the world. So for me personally, I feel like a move for him, okay, it's okay to make a move now, but the only challenge that would be there is deciding where to go. Because in as much as we are concerned, he has to go to a club that will be giving him much time, playing time and game time.
Well, I think to me,
let's just pick up this call. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
This is the Chibuihat calling you in Lusaka.
Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Okay. Actually, Padu Yongwan eyes on you. Musien Yankari face out there. You can't get a Benz engine, put it into a special. That's because you want a Benz.
Yeah.
The God's time is always the best. You understand?
Yes.
Yes. So you know you Musien Yankari for face ja eyes on you, but can't the one face then actually time yake is Africa you end up a man. Time is not the queen.
Why is it that everyone who is calling is just Manu?
And I
actually, even if you are seconding key, is uja mwana uja ni fruit hapa Manu muona cha. You understand?
Partnering him with the Marshall.
Come again?
I'm saying you want him to partner with Marshall.
Yes. Actually, very, 100%.
Thank you very much, sir, for calling.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think
you know, on another note, if it so happens that whatever our callers are wishing that he can make a move into Man U, you will see how many of you are going to join Man United.
I'm a diehard Man U fan.
I mean, just talking about the Patson Daka transfer, I'm meant to believe his favorite club is FC Barcelona. He's a Barcelona fan from what I know. But looking at the offer from Manchester United, I think it's a very, very good offer. If you look at the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer plays with his team, it's all about pace. And they need a guy like Patson Daka to bring a different dimension in Manchester United. Because if you look at the way United are set up, they don't have that guy, the fox in the box. I think Patson Daka is that kind of player. He can go in and challenge Martial, Greenwood and Rashford for that central position. Then coming to Tottenham Hotspurs, the deal which Patson Daka has rejected. A lot of Zambians have come out and said negative stuff about Jose Mourinho, saying he will finish his career and stuff like that. But I think that's been unfair to the Portuguese man, because if you look at Jose Mourinho when he went to FC Porto, Benny McCarthy, the guy we're just from talking about, he struggled at Celta Vigo. He struggled when he first went into Europe. Jose Mourinho trusted him and said, I'll make you my main target. He took him from Celta Vigo, brought him at FC Porto, and he performed wonders. The rest is history. Won the Champions League with him. He came to Chelsea, told Roman Abramovich, I want a guy called DJ Drogba. And then he was asked, who is DJ Drogba?
Let's just pick this call, Augustine, before we continue. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Camnet TV, is it?
Yes, it's Camnet TV, sir.
Okay, off the pitch, I want to believe that.
Yes, it's off the pitch, sir.
Okay, Bwana. This is William. I'm calling from Chiwombo, sir.
Oh, how is Chiwombo this afternoon?
It's okay. Though a little bit windy here and there, but no, we are surviving.
Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, quite good information that we have on the young man, Patson Daka. I think his form is great, and you know, in football, when you are at your peak, that's the time that you need to actually move maybe to better and bigger clubs. You know, because if you delay, you will find yourself, losing your form, and you will not be able to be recognized. Now, this is his time. I feel he should to make a move. If that is brought on his plate, let him take it. I know people are talking about Manchester United. It's a great club, yes. Almost everyone wants to play at Old Trafford. No? Why wouldn't we have our Patson Daka at Old Trafford? So let him be there.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Bwana.
Okay. Yeah, Augustine.
Yeah.
You can continue before the question.
I was talking about Jose Mourinho's way of management. When he went into Chelsea, he said, I want DJ Drogba. Then Roman Abramovich was, who is this DJ Drogba? I said, just bring in the guy, you will see the results. Then DJ came and he was a success at Chelsea. He went to Inter Milan. He did the same with Modibo Maiga, the brother to Victor Wanyama. He played a lot of game time, and they won the Champions League with him. Samuel Eto'o playing down the middle. Even if Modibo Maiga was not a starter, but was given game time, was that guy he could turn to whenever he faced some challenges. He trusts in African players. He's got a lot of trust in African players. You can see at Chelsea, at John Obi Mikel, Michael Essien. So a lot of people are trying to make him look bad, but he knows how to manage players. And maybe for him, for a coach of such caliber of Jose Mourinho, to see something in Patson Daka, to even be linked with him, I think that speaks volumes. Manchester United, we've seen Alberto Manucho from Angola play at Manchester United. We've seen Quinton Fortune from South Africa playing at Manchester United. It's high time we sell Patson Daka.
Let's look at the question. Let's look at a very good point that Mourinho raised. He said he would love to sign a striker who is going to challenge Harry Kane. Are we seeing that challenge in Patson Daka or Rapson?
The young man is well and able, and he's up to speed with challenging Harry Kane. When you look at Harry Kane's abilities on the pitch, I think the man is quite lethal on target, and we have seen those traits in our own Patson Daka, trying to come out as an individual when the team is failing to achieve much. These are the players that you can count on to say, even in an event of a mistake by a defender, we have one lethal guy who's going to turn around and get a half chance and make it count. He's capable and he's well and able. For me, I think he can do it. But all he needs is Champions League football experience for him to become a complete player. If he spends this particular season in the Champions League at Salzburg, let him play this season. We saw Salzburg in the Champions League, the way they played and where they ended. I think a continuation in that front will give him more experience. His CV is going to become more richer, and he will have more game time in the Champions League, which is good for any player wanting to go to the biggest club.
Augustine?
I think, yeah, I support Uncle Rapson, because if you look at the last Champions League campaign they had to Red Bull Salzburg, Patson Daka was playing second fiddle to Erling Brand.
Okay, so let's just pick this call.
Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
We are okay, sir. Your name and where you are calling us from?
You are speaking to Mr. Chilando. I'm calling from Qatar.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead, Mr. Chilando, with your contribution.
Yes, my contribution I think it's a bit too early for Patson to move to a bigger club like Manchester United. Reason being, I think you've alluded to most of that, where we've had players like Mbesuma, Mayuka, moving to big leagues and they fail to perform, or they are not given game time, for instance. I'll give an example of Quinton Fortune. He was a very good player in South Africa, went to Man U. The guy had very few games at Manchester United, actually counts them. So I think he needs that exposure still at the current club before he can actually go to a bigger club like Man U or Liverpool, for instance.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution.
You're welcome, sir.
Sure. Augustine?
So as I was saying, it will be a good exposure for Patson Daka this year to be their main man in the Champions League, because the past season it was Erling Brand Haaland who was their main man. But if you look at Tottenham, what are they offering Patson Daka? Are they telling him to be second fiddle to Harry Kane, or are they telling him that you have to challenge for that position, Harry Kane? But I think it's all about the message that has been communicated to them. If they say that you're going to be second fiddle to Harry Kane, I think he's right to stay at Salzburg, where he's the first choice. If they say that come and challenge Harry Kane, I think it would be right for him to try and go and challenge Harry Kane. But I think the best decision for Patson is to stay at Salzburg, where he will be the main man in the Champions League and in the league. Now maybe he will grow as a player and as a striker.
And Rapson, your conclusion on the Patson Daka issue before we look at other issues.
Let him stay. Patson Daka, let him stay. Let him enjoy his football. He's a young man. Let him enjoy his minutes. And I think the Champions League story will write a very, 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 very big story for him on his CV when it comes to a transfer window come summer next year.
We've seen a major we've seen a surprising thing happening in the football. But before we go to that, let's look at Zesco United training in the transfer window. We saw them pitch or maybe snitch or have the signature of Kelvin Mulanga. What's in for George Chicken?
Augustine.
I think it's interesting to see that Kelvin Mwanga is going to cross from Kitwe to Ndola to join the Ndola Giants, from being the 12-time champions to
13th.
Oh, 13th time.
Count proper.
13th champions, yeah. Ghana a team which are facing problems currently, but we'll come back to that later on. But his move to Zesco United is very interesting because we saw them complete the signing of Bruce Msakanya just a week ago, and now they went in to get is it Razal Aspiri again from Green Eagles. Now it's Kelvin Kampamba Mwanga. He needs this step up. He needs this challenge. Kelvin Mwanga is a player whom I've always think this guy will go far with his football career because he's very talented. But one thing that he lacks is a little bit of discipline. I think he has got discipline issues, Kelvin Mwanga. We cannot run away from that. We saw what he did last season at Sunset Stadium when they played. Yes. So I think he needs to work on his discipline aspect, but he's a very, very intelligent player.
Let's just pick this call before you continue with the indiscipline levels. Yellow.
Hello.
Yellow, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You are through to Off the Pitch. Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Mrs. Tipape from Lusaka.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes. I'm telling you, leave the child there. Let him stay there at the same club until when it takes about 2 to 3 years. That's when he can go somewhere. Because you know this guy, when he goes there, it will be just be on the bench until he will be finished. Then they will set him back here. So we have experience now. Leave the guy there, Peter Tucker. We like him very much. That is the national team material for the year coming. I think that.
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
On the display.
So if you look at Kelvin Mwanga, he's a very talented guy. He will provide you with assists. When it comes to dead boys, he's the guy you turn to. He's a specialist. So I think he will bring a different dimension to Zesco United because he's a winger who will come with goals and he will come with assists. He's someone who is never scared to take on defenders. You can see what Zesco United are trying to do. They're trying to rebuild. It's an overhaul. This is what Zesco United is trying to do. And one thing is that he has gone to the right man. George Rwanda is a disciplinarian. We all know that. He won't give him. He won't give him any space to say any treatment, to say special treatment, say this is Kelvin Mwanga. He will treat everyone the same because he likes discipline. That's his first thing. We saw when he joined Red Arrows. At first, when he joined Red Arrows, he said, I would not take charge of the games. I'll just be monitoring the games. I'll be there in training until the last the 8 games that Harrison Tembo took charge. Then George Rwandamena, when he came, he had spotted the bad seeds. He said, I don't want player A, B, C, D. I want them out. And that almost happened at Zesco United. He went there and he pointed out, I don't want this kind of players. There was even issue with him and John Chingandu because Chingandu is someone who has got discipline issues. But you've seen now, John Chingandu has changed and is working very hard for George Rwandamena. And it's something that we will see with Kelvin Kampamba Mwanga. He had 4 months remaining on his contract at Nkana. So it's either Nkana could have stayed, okay, we'll keep Kelvin Mwanga, then he goes on a free, or we cash him in and
have some points.
Yes. I think last week we had Pancharelo Chamani and Pwezani. Panch did a very interesting article. He said Nkana could have been clever in the way they have managed the situation. They could have requested for loan deals for Logic Chingandu and Enoch Sabokukama. And till Zesco United will be paying half of these guys' salaries, and we'll be paying half just for a season so that you can get Kelvin Mwanga. It would have been a win-win situation for both teams.
Is it a loss for you, Kelvin?
That's a massive talented player, and for him leaving Ghana FC, I think it's a very, 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 very big blow, especially that we are heading into the Champions League. We needed every player. We have this transfer ban that is looming on our heads. On the club as in Ghana. And so though some stories came up during the week that we could be back in the transfer market. The Steven Adams issue is being concluded anytime soon. 75% it's so believed that a payment was made subject to confirmation. We'll try and follow it up during the course of the week to see whether that happens. But I think for me, Kelvin leaving Nkana is a huge blow to our continental aspirations as Nkana. On the other side, again, Chicken George is the winner of the two. He gets Kelvin, he gets Bruce. When you look at the two traits
and
of
Lazarus
these two players,
Perry,
and Lazarus Perry, when you look at the traits of these players that George has brought in, of course, in terms of discipline, I will not go back to it. Augustine has mentioned, George has it all. He did it to Idris Mbombo when Idris went to the supporters and...
Let's just pick this call.
Are you getting me?
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
I'm John Bochino from Kitwe.
Oh, okay. How is Kitwe this afternoon?
Kitwe is cool.
Wow, thank you. You can go ahead with your
Which team do you support in Kitwe, sir?
I think he should get himself for things and what he has in Manchester United. So if he improves, he can go back to South State. But I hope he can't fail. Because even the last match they played the match against Liverpool.
Yeah.
He performed. So I think he will also is the focus. So it's better move to England. What he has Manchester United.
Which team do you support in Kitwe?
In Kitwe, local football.
Yes, local football, Zambian League.
Monaco.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Strong.
Okay, very good day.
Okay, thank you. Angorapso.
Like I was saying, George Rwandamina's mission in this coming season is clearly written in black and white. And we should not be surprised if Zesco United takes the championship. Why? When you look at the combination of the players that he's trying to assemble and the youthful part where they have promoted 6 young players from their sister clubs around their structures, you can tell that suddenly light has overcome darkness in terms of the aging of the players at Zesco United, and they are focusing on getting on the light side of football. So for me, Kelvin, what a loss for Nkana. Our club will forever be grateful for the games that he has played and the contributions. But life is like that. He has to move on and go to the other side and see what is there.
How clever is George Rwandamina? Because he's dominating in the signing of stars this window. So is it that these other coaches are just dormant, or it's just an issue of him knowing to play his cards right? Because I'm looking at Zesco being a club to reckon with in the next coming season.
Well, when you look at what George has done, he's been busy in the transfer market. He's gotten very, very good players that, for example, like Kelvin. Kelvin's issue has been ongoing between Nkana and Zesco for close to 2 or 3 seasons now, and finally his departure is probably something that we can do as fans and as Nkana Football Club, just to support the player, because we are also grateful. He was very, very instrumental in the winning of the 13th title. So for him to proceed and be with Zesco United, Chicken George, he must not invest in stars too much. If he's going to continue in this transfer market and get the top of the range, the highly rated players in the league, he might create a situation where we go back to the individual brilliance of certain players and teamwork is not there. So for me, let him build the team around the ones that he has bought, probably with 1, maybe 2 or 3 more players. Then we can see that Zesco United will be a force to reckon with.
I think one interesting part about Zesco United and the way George Rwandamina is doing his business.
Let's just speak this call. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm okay. Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm David calling from Chilavombwe.
Oh, how is Chililawombwe?
Chilabongo is fine.
Oh, okay. We thank God for that. You can go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I just want to talk about the movement.
Hey, and then Potumfwe.
I think we are quoting him wrong because people they are comparing first of data, Europe. The first game Manchester United. That is not performer. Him to move because because number one let him go. Don't you I English only value for 2 goals, but I'm spenders I English for much spender in the world. Let him focus on that.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Yeah, like I was saying about Zesco United, if you look at George Londamina, the way he's doing these transfers, I think he's someone who is spot on when it comes to transfers, because most of the clubs in Zambia, if you notice the way they do their transfers, it's about the chairman and the executive who do the transfers, and then they just bring players on the coaches. But George is different. He's someone who would have talked to the management and said, I want that guy and that guy, bring them into this building, then I'll deliver you the title. Because if you look at the Zesco United team, they were aging. And that midfield was being overrun most of the times. That's why we've seen reinforcements mostly in that midfield area, because they were being overrun. At the back, they have got Clement Mabe, who they're going to build that defense around, because he's very, very good. Him and Adrian Chama, they have developed a very, very good partnership. I believe 2 young players from the 6 that have been promoted. There's Gilbert Tembo, who is a left back. He would challenge Kapumbu and Mwilapiri on that position. And there's one boy who is Timothy Mwita from Livingstone. This boy is being, he's been talked about to be one of the next big things from Zambian football. He's a very, very creative midfielder. I think it will be exciting to see what George does with his team coming next season. Maybe now they may have Jesse Jackson where they play a little bit more central, and you get more goals, because he's being played in wide areas. I felt he's being wasted. And talking about Zesco United, we saw their player Shemi Maembe contract ran out at Zesco United, and he has moved on to Ukraine, where he will be playing his trade. He signed a 3.5-year deal with a Ukrainian top side, Premier League side. We saw Ngo Sansunzu from Butekon move to Israel, as well as Lamek Panda also moving to Israel.
We've looked at Uncle George. Chicken George has been busy. It's been a busy window for him. But let's not shy away from Kongola Blades. Kongola Blades.
I think Kongola Blades would have asked someone from Chilawongwe, the previous caller, to tell us the move of Numbamamba to Kongola Blades.
All right, let's just pick this call before you go. Hello? Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you? You are through to Off the Pitch. Your name and where you are calling us from?
Okay, this is Dembo Amon calling you within Osaka.
Oh, okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I've seen the question. Is it okay for Patson Dana to make a move? That's a very good one. But now, according to my observation, is Patson Dana, he should just be there at Red Bull South Bay for now. Let him just finish the next season. That's when he can just make a move. Because I don't see any reason for him to move to any team while his team has qualified for, is it
UEFA Champions League, yeah.
Yeah, so what he should just do is to remain there, so that at least he can get more confidence. Hey, and then that's my point. Because what is now in English Premier League, the competition is too much there. So what is, let him just get more experience when at least they appear the team, they play Liverpool and these other teams. At least by that time he'll be exposed. So by that time at least we'll be able at least to move to English, maybe to France, or maybe Italy, to maybe better. But for now, let him just be there, Red Bull South Bay. And for that matter, he's even independent there. He's someone at least who can help Red Bull South Bay to go forward.
Thank you very much for that contribution, sir.
No, all right, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Kongola Blades. Angolapson, I know you wanted to shy away from this, but We need to touch at it. Gongola Blades have played their cards well. Getting an experienced coach.
I don't know where I should begin with. Whether I should begin at the gain by Concola Blades
Or the loss.
or the loss on the CV of one of the brilliant young coaches this country has at the moment. Both ends have their own pros and cons, and I think when you look at Concola Blades, they were actually they actually performed very well in the provincial. By the way, they're not even in the national league. Yeah? So they're
in the provincial leagues.
They're in the provincial league on the Copper Belt, but apparently it's a very, very good timing for Concola Blades to bring in an experienced coach like Numba Mamba, who has joined them, and is joining them at a time when they are playing playoffs to qualify to the National League. So probably it could be that he's going to be given resources with the current, not really resources to buy players to play in the playoffs. They already have the same players that qualified them for playoffs. So I am seeing it to be either a long term or a short term. In an event that Concola Blades fails to win the playoffs and qualify to the National League, Concola Blades will probably sit back and say, did we make the right decision? On the other side, I don't understand why Numba has moved. That is a very, very great coach. Very, very great coach. I have lots of respect for him. And for him to downgrade from Champions League football to a provincial football,
league.
Provincial league, that is a huge, huge, huge step backward.
Augustine.
Massive step backward.
I think, like Uncle Rapson has said, I think maybe he was desperate to get back into football management. I thought there were better offers that would have come his way if he would have taken his time. Numba Mamba is someone who has won the league with Sensational Zanaco. Yeah, I think for him to start seeing him going to coach in provincial leagues, I think it's a very, very huge disappointment. Yes, he's going back home, but what does it do to his CV? That's the big question. Because it's more like we see, let me try and put it this way, we see Jürgen Klopp following season is coaching Swindon in the third tier of English football. I think it's a big disappointment. I think there were a lot of jobs that would have come his way if he would have just taken his time. I think it's a gain for Concola Blades, but on Numba side, I think it's a loss. Maybe he wants a new challenge. Maybe
it's a contract where
it's difficult. Let's move on. It's very, very difficult to crack this story down.
Let's look at Naps Augustine.
Yes. They announced the signings of
Jacob Ngulube
and
Otieno.
Timothy Otieno. Yeah, he was the top scorer at Tusker last
season.
season.
Before we proceed, top scorers in Africa, it's proving to be very, very difficult. Napsa Stars have gotten a guy who scored 14 goals and he was top scorer back home.
Yeah, but the league was cut prematurely.
Look at South Africa. Their top scorer in the league also scored 16 goals. Come back to Zambia, top scorer, 16 goals. There's something wrong in African football. We need to have strikers.
I've always been saying of this.
Proceed
Why?
before we
run away from the topic.
We've looked at Napsa Stars. They have reinforced. They've brought. I think there were question marks with the teams who are playing continental football. We are not hearing about any business that was being done by them. They have gone on to sign Otieno, who was the top scorer in the KPL, who was with Tusker, scored 14 goals, was top scorer of the league. And Jacob Ngulube, they bring in someone who has played continental football at Ghana. He brings that experience with him. I think it's a very, very good signing because Napsa Stars had issues in the creative part. It was always calling Sikombe or nothing. That was the way Napsa Stars played. You saw towards the end of the season, they struggled because Austin got injured. Yeah. But now the good part, I've seen him is back. He's training with the squad. They're in Livingston right now, having pre-season training. We hear Chandamushid is training with Napsa. We don't know how true that is. But we just hope Napsa Stars will do their business right. But what I've seen from their Facebook page, they are going heavy in Livingston. That's heavy training. They're training in sand. They'll be up to speed when it comes to the Super League, and then they will gain the momentum and push for continental glory. I think it will be good for Napsa Stars, the business that they have done and how they have planned their preseason.
And let's now cross borders. The EPL is back today. It has started, and there's a game going on right now between Arsenal and Fulham, and Arsenal is leading by a goal to 1, scored by Lacazette. What? But before we look into that, the other game is at 16. There will be a game between Crystal Palace versus Southampton. Man City is also playing today against Aston Villa. That's at 16 hours. And then for me personally, we have the big game for today. The big game for today, which is Liverpool against Leeds at 18:30.
Premier League champions and Championship champions.
Well, Leeds United, I followed their transfer markets. They haven't reinforced their squad that much coming into the Premier League. They are still depending on the young lads that brought them back into the EPL, and coming to face the English champions. It to be a tough battle for them. Of course, when you look at history between the two teams, they've been playing together. Leeds United is not a small team. They've been on the English platform for a very, very long time, and for them to be back in the Premiership, it's a good thing. This game, if you ask me, to be very, very difficult, and we will not see more than 2 goals in that match. And I am going for a draw between Leeds and Liverpool for a change.
And I think we've seen Leeds is back in the Premier League. I think it's 16 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and they're back. And as we all know, Leeds is Manchester United's worst nightmare. So when we look at Liverpool, Rapson, you said you go for it as a draw, which maybe I would support, because when you look at the front three of Liverpool, it's an issue of their performance for me has gone down. Maybe it's because of lack of competition on their positions.
It's a situation where they are all guaranteed the starting berth. Whether they train well or not, it's by default they are the front three. You have Mo Salah this side. You have Firmino. And when you look at their goal scoring record in pre-season, they haven't been very convincing. I'm sorry to say that. If you've been following soccer, they haven't been very, very convincing. And for them to come back and start the EPL, if they are going to continue the same way they were performing in the off-season, I don't see them defending this league again.
And for me, I would say, have they signed any players so far?
Yeah, they did sign a defender back. Yeah, yeah. But if you look at the Premier League, if you look at Leeds United, they were chasing Ben White, who was on loan last season from Brighton, but Brighton have insisted for Leeds to pay more than 25 million for the centre back, who they had loaned to them, and then they want more than 25 million. Chelsea are in for him. I think that if Leeds don't get their man, they would have issues on that defensive pairing, because he had a very, very good season with them. They have brought in Rodrigo from Valencia. I don't know what he will bring to the Premier League, because we've seen Spanish players come like Roberto Soldado. They've come like the guy Negredo. They've come to England and they've failed. So it's interesting to see what Rodrigo will bring to the table at least. But going to the Liverpool game, I think Liverpool will carry the day from the way I look at it.
They will use the experience.
They will use their experience of being in the Premier League. And one interesting part, it will be the relegation fight. Because most of the teams that come up, you put them as relegation favourites. You have got Leeds, we've got Fulham, and we've got West Brom. I think the Leeds coach, Marcelo Bielsa, said he would want to finish just behind that top 6. Yeah, after that top 6, then that's the person he want to challenge. But if you look at Fulham with Scott Parker, the last time they were in the Premier League, they made about 10 signings. It failed, they went down. You look at West Brom, Bilic has brought them up, but I don't think they're very convincing with their transfer business that they have done. Crystal Palace might be dragged into that relegation battle, because they have always been lucky. They don't do enough in the transfer market, but they have always been surviving. They've gotten Michy Batshuayi on loan from Chelsea. Aston Villa, last season, they went on to buy 11 players. And then they came and were fighting relegation. And at the end of the day, when they survived relegation, the first thing they did was to fire the sporting director, because you cannot bring 11 new signings. How will they gel
The old one.
Yeah, so it's all about who plays their tactics right.
Remember in
Anyway,
the relegation zone.
Time is not with us. Ango Robson, the first one. Coutinho goes back. Coutinho is back at Barcelona. Just a quick one on that.
It's a great move back home, and I think the way Barca is being rebuilt now, it's a plus for the club, and what a loss for Liverpool, because that's a guy who did a lot of damage to Barcelona. So I'm sure now Liverpool, they were hoping probably that they would probably recall him or have him, but clearly he has to go back. He's been a player that was always contributing to the Bayern guys, and now he has to move on. He has to go back.
Augustine, your final wins.
On Felipe Coutinho, or
Conclude. Oh, Ango Robson.
Oh, you mean my conclusion?
You have to do your conclusion.
If he's concluding on the European side, I have my conclusion on the local side.
I think my concluding remarks is on Patson Daka. I think a lot of young players should try and get some inspiration from this guy. Almost the entire country is talking about Patson Daka, not in the negative sense, but in the positive sense. I think it's a proud moment for him and his family to be linked with such big moves. It speaks volumes. Discipline and hard work really pays. You can see what's happening with Patson Daka. I think at the end of the day, he's in the right hands with Freddy Kanute.
Ango Robson.
Two stories that we must follow this coming week. Prison Leopards, they've terminated, I think they've released about 13
players, yeah, so that.
And they are unveiling the new signings this coming week. Then it also takes me back to the promise they made to the players that they'll give them land. So I don't know which players will get land, whether it's these ones who brought them in the Premier League or the ones that are coming in to start the Premier League. Then on the other hand, as we conclude the show, Lamek Banda's move, it's not a very good move.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for game time, I think for me it's been done in bad faith. But we can only wish the boy all the best as he goes to Israel. There's no way you're going to leave Europe and go and play football in Israel and hope to still come back into Europe.
Yeah.
It's something else. But we can only wish him all the best. Thank you.
This has been Off the Pitch, and we still continue with our same question. You can just go on Facebook, like our page, which is Camnet, and give us your answer from there. If it's okay for Patson Daka to stay at Salzburg or maybe to make a move to other clubs. But the issue is, he is in the UEFA Champions League spot, and we're looking forward in terms of his performance. And we've come to the end of the show, and this is where we say our bye-byes. I've been your host, Amos, aka Amore, and we'll see you next week for other interesting issues that take place. We're out.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.